Yes, I'm going to click the start button now. All right. Hi, everybody. I see some people are rolling in. Hi, everyone. Good morning. How's everyone doing today? I thought it was supposed to be like really good weather this week, but then I noticed that there was snow on the ground while I was driving to work. I thought that was kind of strange. How's everyone doing this morning? See lots of people rolling in here. Give it a couple minutes. Does anyone have any like good, I was driving to work this morning and I was trying to find some music that could like pump me up. I'm just wondering if any of you have any good like music suggestions, like some good hype music or, you know, something that gets you going in the morning, gives you some energy. Put it in the chat if you do. I'd love to hear it. Any song from TikTok? Yes. Oh, you TikTok too? TikTok is so addicting. Metallica. Okay. Okay, we got a bit of a mix here. We started like a fun group chat here at work where everyone just puts in like the song that they were listening to on their drive to work. And so some of it is just totally random and like scattered, but it's like fun to see everyone's music tastes, you know? Footloose, yeah, classic. Jeremy, that's hilarious. The kids. I believe that would definitely get you out of the house quickly. Okay, good suggestion. I can't say I've heard that one, Lucas, but I will definitely listen to it after. Ed Sheeran, classic. Yep, gotta love Ed Sheeran. I don't know that one either, Dale, but you guys are giving me some great suggestions to check out for later. Cool. Anyone else? Well, I hope you guys are having a good morning. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Amal and I do customer engagement here at Workhub. I also have Mike here with customer success, and he's going to be helping me just manage the chat and go through the webinar. So if you have any questions as I go through, feel free to pop them in the chat. I do have a couple Q&A sessions, like a Q&A section, sorry, like kind of in the middle. So if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and then I'll get to them as I continue. Hi, Dan from Chicago. Is the weather better there than it is here in Calgary? Okay, cool. And while we're just like waiting for people to roll in, this webinar is just going to cover some of like the newer things, smaller features that we've added. You know, the previous ones were on like pretty big functionality changes or like features, components that we had added to the dashboard. But you know, this one, I just thought there was quite a few like smaller features that were really cool and might make a difference to you guys that I wanted to talk about. But do you guys have any other like suggestions on webinars that you might want to see? I noticed on YouTube some of the comments were for competencies. So is competencies like a big one? Would everyone want to see something like that? Or do you have any other suggestions? Feel free to put those in the chat too. From Australia, oh, you're far, Bruce. How's it going? Raining and 45. I don't know what 45 is in Celsius, but it sounds cold. Yeah, any suggestions for webinars? Is competencies like one you guys would want to see, or is there anything else? We do have like some newer stuff coming out later in the year, so I have some ideas for those, but if you have any requests, please let me know. All right, well, I guess if everyone is ready, we'll go ahead and get started. So just going to share my screen with you guys over there. All right, so we're going to start on the worker dashboard. There's a couple of new things here that I wanted to point out. So one is the compliance bar for starters. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed this, but yeah, it does show you kind of like the amount of things that you have to do and the compliance. We made some kind of changes to the info that's displayed on these cards as well. And so you will be seeing more of that kind of coming on the admin side too. So it'll look a lot more similar to this with all of the information on the card. And then if we go into online training, you may have also noticed the statuses that we've added. So those are like the priority status here. So the medium, the high, the critical, optional, or low. What's really cool is like you can sort by priority or status on these columns too. So you can arrange it easily. And see like the amount of lessons and things like that. And then if you apply these, we refer to these as filter tags. So you can click on like missing, for example, and it will bring the required ones to the top and then all the optional ones that have not been completed. And you can have multiple tags. So you could do like missing and coming due and expired, for example, or you could just do coming due and expired, or just one of them too. And so we're hoping that this makes it easier for workers to figure out what they need to do and what might be like a higher priority item. Another thing while we're on this page that I should also point out is online courses has been renamed to online training. So it's not too big of a change, but something that you might have noticed. And another thing on this is the time remaining. So this will show you like how much time is remaining on any of the courses. So for example, if I went into this one here, like the Indigenous awareness, we see the time remaining is 7 minutes. And going into the course itself, you can see that's because of like that last lesson here, that's 7 minutes. So it's only counting the lessons that have not been completed within the course. Back on the dashboard here, you may have, one thing I want to point out is here we've replaced subordinates by direct reports. So you still have your supervisor and then you have your direct reports. And if you click on this, you could go in and actually see your direct reports as well. And if we were to click on to this, for example, this emergency contact here, it is private information. So this is kind of a new thing that's been added as well. And you can see the log for this on the admin side. So I will show you guys that too. But if we were trying to access that private information here, then we would have to kind of click view. So it does give you that warning and lets you know that that log is going to be recorded somewhere. And then once you click view, like you can see any of the information here. So that's also a pretty nice kind of security feature. All right, so continuing on here, I wanted to point out some of the changes that are within inspections and assets. So one thing is, for example, on assets now, if you click on like the assets that you're assigned to, you can also see your direct reports assets. And let's say we clicked into here, and on the right hand side, we can see like the related inspections. Now, when you click on this, it will actually take you to the inspection, which is really awesome. And on this page, you can see the inspection, the submitted inspection has actually been made into this really nice report that's easily printable. So it's already in like that PDF form, and you can see all of the details, any of the comments that were left on the inspection, anything like that. And you can just download this if you need to store it offline for any reason. And then so when you come back into like the inspections tool, if you like click on any of these, you can also see the last submission, and it just opens up in that same kind of format view. So it's really easy for the worker to be able to see previous submissions on inspections, and also be able to print out or look back at their own submissions if they need to. And a couple other like name changes on the dashboard to point out. So forms is now called other forms, and SDS, which was safety data sheets, is also now called materials. And then I also wanted to point out, so on competencies, if someone has requested an assessment from you or anything like that, we have these tabs up here that make it a little bit easier to kind of navigate. So you can see assessment requests, and you can see assessment history for yourself on this tab as well. Yeah, and then the last thing on the worker side to point out is on rewards. So I'll show you guys the setting on the admin side as well, but we've added something called a minimum point order. So as an admin, you could basically set a minimum order amount. So for example, if I were to, sorry, I forgot to select the size, but if I were to add this kind of like long sleeve shirt to my cart, it's 95 points. And if I come in here and go continue to shipping, it will tell me this kind of warning. So you can also set this on the admin side, and and there's a couple different options there. So I'll show you guys that as well. So I think those are the biggest ones on the worker side. Do you guys have any questions about any of those? We can talk about that first before we move on to the administrator side. Sorry if I went a little quickly there. QA, any questions about any of that? How do you set up forms? That's a pretty big and great question. It would be best if you contact your support team, and we can kind of work with you individually. People have different needs on the form section, and so we'd be happy to talk to you further to kind of work to figure out what works best for you. But for the most part, you basically, I guess I could show you quickly. For the most part, you would just click into forms here, just click the add new button in the top right corner. You could start from a template or start from scratch. So if we start from this one, for example, then you could upload a PDF or link to an online form if you want. And then on the online form, you would basically set the submission to send an email into Workhub with the form ID. Like that's a really quick answer for that question. But like I said, please feel free to email support@workhub.com, and we can walk you through it for whatever works best for you. All right, well, if there is no more questions, then I will move on to the admin side. And yeah, all right. So the first thing I want to point out is on the accounts page, if you click into here and then go to custom branding, you can actually set different colors here for your home screens. So you can set the worker dashboard colors, for example, the admin dashboard, even the worker ID and login screens, and the email too. So this report is the one that we just looked at, that inspections one, but any of these can be changed Thank you, Mike. Yeah, so any of these can be changed, and you can also disable this if you want to, but that's kind of like a little neat feature. We do have some more plans around this, which would like affect reports as well, but something I just wanted to show you guys. And let's go into the worker profiles. So here, wait, I think. So I want to show you guys that privacy thing that we looked at. Of course, now I can't remember which worker it was. This one. Okay, so that privacy log that we looked at on the worker side that kind of gave us like that view option. Here you can see if you click on privacy on that worker's profile, you can see like the data that was accessed. And so you can see who it was accessed by, what page it was accessed from, and the date and timestamp that it was accessed. So you can see that one is right in there from when we just looked at it. And the cool thing about this feature is it does go both ways. So since I'm using this profile of Mo, if I come in here and look at access by, I can also see that log here. So I thought that was a pretty cool feature to point out. You know, you can see again the timestamp and everything. So it does work both ways. You can see whose data was accessed and who it was accessed by. Also on the worker side, sorry, on the worker profile, I want to point out the Greenhand. So we've added a little bit, so we've added this Greenhand kind of flag. So if this is turned on, you can set the date until that this worker would be a Greenhand for. And once that date has passed, that Greenhand status will be removed. By setting it here, you will see it like when you look at this person in the worker list, and then you will also be able to see it in a couple different places where that worker shows up, including on competencies. Yeah. So yeah, if we went into competencies here, we went to worker compliance, you would just see that Greenhand flag here as well. And if you went to assess this worker, it would also show up there. And while we are on competencies, another, sorry, it was this one. Another one I would like to point out is we have like this, sorry, let me find another example. No, okay. So yeah, we do have like this alert icon here as well. So when you do add an assessor to the competency, if there is something with their permissions or with their position that is with their position assignments that is kind of restricting them from being able to access that competency or see it, you will see a red or a yellow icon like this. So the yellow one basically indicates that the worker has not been assigned to the competency, and then the red one would indicate that they don't have permissions. So it's a little bit easier, I think, that way to be able to determine the workers that you're adding as assessors and how they can kind of, whether they can access that competency or not. I know that's caused a lot of issues in the past. And then the assessments tab here. So it has the assessment requests and the assessment history in this tab too. And here we've also added the status. So there's a couple different icons here to indicate the worker status at a glance. So the red one would be like they need supervision on that task still. The green one here is if they've been pre-qualified. This one is if they're like an instructor assessor. So this page just looks a little cleaner and it's easier to get the information that you need from it. Yeah, it's a great time to take some questions if you guys have any. I see Jonathan has one. What was Greenhand for? Greenhand is kind of like the terminology used if someone is kind of newer to the work field or force, and like they just have no, sorry. Sorry. So if they're like newer and they just don't have like a lot of experience or something like that, then you may want them to kind of be like training in a way. So you could like flag them as Greenhand just to indicate that they're newer and don't have as much experience working with the tools or equipment. But yeah, you could also use it to indicate like if someone is like in training or kind of on probation or something like that. It's just kind of a way to be able to distinguish that this is a newer worker from all the other workers. Thanks, Bruce. I have a question here from Jeremy, so let's read what it says. Is there a way to see a review of all inspection issues so I can see if I'm having the same problem throughout, as well as in online training? Yeah, great question. So in online training, if you come into here and then kind of click onto a lesson, and then quiz questions, you can actually see here kind of like the difficulty of certain questions and the percentage of them being answered. So that's like a good way to kind of see if employees are having trouble with a certain question. If you really wanted to drill down to, if you go to worker compliance and then click on the like quiz results here, that will also kind of give you the answers that people have put in for each question, so you can kind of go through them that way too. So that was the second part of your question, and the first part was, is there a way to review all inspection issues? So yeah, if you come into here, if you come into here and then look at your, if you look at this inspection check, for example, no, I'm confused. If you go to submitted inspections, you would be able to see it here. I think like that it passes in the warnings. So is there a way to review? Well, if you went through the asset, you would probably be able to see like the inspections. I think right now you do have to review them individually, so you can't really see that information for that one specific question, but that's definitely something I can speak to the product team about. I was thinking about behavior observations because you can kind of do that in there, but it's a little bit different with inspections. Okay, and then Ali, if you have two admins and you change the custom branding, will it show? The custom branding would apply to the whole account. So in this case, like the 5 Hats transport, the whole account would be affected by that custom branding. So it's not just for an individual user or their account, it's for the whole organization. All right. Well, I'll just keep going here. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about, so there's some changes in policies. So if you're coming into a policy, for example, and you go into worker compliance and you're just trying to acknowledge the policy on behalf of a worker, there's a lot more information in here in terms of setting the date acknowledged, the version, and the reason. So you could say, and then it would just kind of show you under the compliance that has been acknowledged by an admin. Another thing is on the settings here, we've added this new setting, allow workers to download the policy. We had someone telling us that workers would sometimes download copies of the policy and store them on their device. And so when they were then like pulling up that policy or referring to it, it would be a little bit out of date. And so if you can, like we thought we would add in this setting so you can prevent workers from downloading the policy. And so that way they are always referencing the most up-to-date version of the policy. So that's one. And then another one here is to alert the policy contact by email when the worker posts a comment. So you can choose whether you want to get an email notification for that or not. Then I'm going to go into certificates. So with scheduled training, there's been some improvements here, as in you can select the certificate that you may be scheduling training for. You could set multiple sessions too. So let's make this at 10 a.m. Say it's for a day, you could add like another session. You can add some workers to it. And save. So this will, you can then also send this like message to attendees. So this is one of the new ones. If you write a message in here, then it will send them an email too. So that's a cool way to kind of get a hold of them, or send them any information or any updates, just in case, I don't know, the trainer's running late or something like that. And then once it's scheduled, you'll be able to see like if workers have viewed it or not, and if they've confirmed or declined. So that worker could go in and they will see it on their certificates page and they can like confirm or decline. Yeah, for sure, Erin. So if we came in here, we could just click message attendees, and then you could send a message in here. So, and it will send them an email. So they'll just get whatever email is affiliated with their account. And then on the settings, so another one we've added here to the settings is make the certificate number required field. I guess this is pretty useful in the case of like driver's licenses or things like that, where you want to see like that certificate number, the ID or whatever. So yeah, you can turn this on or off as well. And the great thing about this is even though there is like the global setting for this one here, if we went into the certificate type, you could also turn that on or off for the certificate type as well. One more thing I wanted to touch on here. Let's see if this one is an example. You can also include a fillable version of a certificate. So this is pretty cool because we had a lot of people that were using forms when they would upload a copy of the form and ask their workers to sign it and fill it out, or to go to a certain link and to download a document and then fill it out, or upload it or something like that. And so the thing with forms is it's a lot harder to track compliance that way. So if there is something like something that you need your workers to sign off on that you want to track worker compliance for, then this is a pretty good spot to put it. And yeah, you could use a link. So if it's hosted on your company website or something like that, you can put the URL or the file. You could click choose file and just kind of like upload anything here, and then leave them some instructions. And they will see it just like how that online course connection, when that's enabled, they just see that start now at the top of the screen. So that would be the same for this one. And then there's a couple of new things that apply to all components. So one thing that I want to talk about first is permissions. So you may have noticed permissions are now on the individual component and not on the positions page that they used to be. So if you came into certificates, you could edit the default worker template and admin template from here. So you could just kind of make adjustments as needed. And so doing it from here will affect the default. And then on the right-hand side, you have that custom permission. So you can see here how many positions might be using custom permission for this. And you can also edit these on the individual position. So you don't have to like go into positions and do it that way anymore. You can just do it from the component, which is hopefully a lot easier to use. So once you click save, like that's updated. If you clicked the eye icon here, it will just kind of tell you what each permission stands for this specific component. So, you know, just trying to make it more clear. And if you click on the three dots here, you can click view changelog, and this will actually show you like any of the changes that have been made too. So we've had a lot of people asking who has changed certain permissions. And so this is now the best way that we can do this. Of course, it won't show ones that were done prior to this feature kind of being added, but now that it's here, it's an easy way to manage and to make sure that all the permissions are up to date and not being changed or anything like that. Unfortunately, Jeremy, permissions are by position. However, you could make a separate position for that person and set them to a custom permission so that they weren't using that default. Right, and the other thing I want to show you guys is this matrix report. So you will see this on quite a few other components as well. And this is a way to just get a report like across the whole component. So for certificates, it would have a lot of different certificates on it, or you can customize it. So you can set like the assignments. So if you want all or just like required ones, I'm going to leave this one to all. And then you can also set the status. So if you're looking specifically for certificates that, you know, are not up to date. And then you can also add the certificates. So you could choose if you wanted to add all of them, or you could just add like select certificates to this list too. So if I hit continue and then save, you can, so then this will kind of allow you to filter that that report. And then, yeah, you can also add the Greenhand filter. So that's another example of the Greenhand functionality, you know, or you could like filter like this. And then once you're done, you can obviously download this report. And it just kind of comes out in an Excel format. But you can also save this. So let's say, you know, you needed to kind of keep on top of certificates for a certain project or something like that. Then you could kind of save this view and load it in there. And so if you were to click here, then you could kind of go back to project one and only look at that one. You can also clone this. So if you, let's say, want to do this plus one or two more certificates, it would be a lot easier for you to just kind of copy that view and then make any changes on it. So that's also pretty awesome for the matrix report. And this is in a lot of components. You'll see it in online training, policies, procedures, things like that as well. I see one question in the Q&A. Yes, it is being live streamed to YouTube now, and then it will be available on the Workhub channel on YouTube later. All right, so that's certificates, matrix reporting. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is bulletins. Yeah, so in bulletins, let's say we were to go ahead and create a new bulletin. I have a little text here that I can copy and paste easily. Subject. Okay, so if I'm like creating a bulletin here and then I go ahead and add my recipients, so you guys know by now that you can kind of select and choose. I'm just going to select all. So what I want to show you is this new button here that says send me a copy. We had a lot of people kind of, well, of course, if you're the sender of the bulletin, then it will automatically mark you as compliant if the bulletin is sent to your position location as well. But this way you can also send yourself a copy so you can see what the email looks like, just in case, you're testing like images or anything like that. We also have this kind of new text editor here. And so we are working on giving you guys the ability to add images into your bulletin. So that will be coming soon. So be sure to keep an eye on the release notes to see when that is updated. So yeah, the send a copy is pretty great. And then if I were to go ahead and save the bulletin, we have like that post date functionality, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. But also this option for compliance required has been moved to the pop-up. So we used to have this on Safety Sync. And then it was kind of like put in a different place on Workhub, but I just wanted you guys to know that it's been moved to the pop-up here. So you could say compliance is required after like 3 days later or something like that. And then you can also set when you want the bulletin to be archived. You could set it to no, and then you have that default archive date on the bulletins too. Yeah, so bulletins, send me a copy. And then the next thing I have here is some changes to incidents. So if we're going into an incident here, if you are looking at root causes, we were getting a lot of questions on people asking like about these root causes that we have in here, like the type, the category, the action, condition, and the cause itself. So if you click on this little I button here, we've added this great chart so that you guys can kind of see and to see like what each of these means or like where it comes from. So what are actions, conditions, and that kind of thing. So I thought that was like pretty convenient. Another thing we've added here is the admin notes. So because workers do have the ability to submit that incident or hazard ID report, if you do want to make admin notes, these would only be visible on the admin side. So you can type in any notes here and just go ahead and hit save, and then that's only visible from the admin view of looking at the of looking at the incident. That's a good point, Corey. I know we have it like linked onto the website. I wonder if like opening it in a new tab, you could kind of like zoom in. Maybe that would help. But I can definitely see if there is another way we can have it downloadable. I believe it's also linked in a help article, so it might be easier to view that way too. And then one more thing is on the filters here, we've added a lot more filters to the instant view. So you could kind of come in here and just kind of add any of these filters that you want. So you could do like the reporter, you could also do the people involved if you're adding any names, the incident tag, who it was submitted by, which vehicle was involved. So just a lot more filters on this page here too. All right, and then we have inspections. So with inspections, we have those different types. So we have like the categories. We sent out a couple emails and stuff around that. So the vehicle, the location, the tool. So if we are looking at an inspection, I want to point out that on the category here side, we've made some changes here too. So if you were to set this to be a vehicle inspection, then it would only ask for the AST ID. There was some confusion around it asking for both the AST ID and the location. So that change has been made here. And then you can kind of customize if you want the odometer rating or the hours on that inspection as well. And then if I were to switch it over to site, you'd see it's kind of locked down to only ask for location And again, you can choose if you want to show the last one. With tool, you do have the option to select either of those, and same with other, you have a couple of the options there too. So the options are just more relevant to the type of bulletin, the type of inspection that's being suggested. I don't know why I keep saying bulletins today. Yeah, and then the last little piece I have for you guys is within rewards. So if I come into rewards here, on the settings, so this kind of setting here, require minimum order size to check out. That's the one I was showing you on the worker side earlier, where it kind of gave us this warning. So you can basically choose if you want no minimum, 100 points, 150, or 200 points. So that's also, that's kind of brings up that warning. So a way to limit the rewards if you need to. Another thing you can do here is limit point accumulations per month. So you could basically set a monthly allowance of points if you needed to as well. Yeah, and then the one more is if we go to points adjustments, you now have this button up here that says add points by, and there's the option of position or location. So let's say you wanted to give like points to all the drivers, for example. Let's say we gave them like 3 points, and it's like, oh, because they've spent the whole month incident free and you want to reward that, right? So you would just have to type in a reason given to worker, which might be, you know, the same as your admin note, and then you can notify that worker by email or by SMS in order to give them those points. Yeah, so I think that about covers all of the new things that I had to talk about. Do you guys have any more questions for me here? YouTube links and bulletins, that's a great question. For now, you can add, we have had some people kind of add the video in as an attachment. So that is one option. That is one option, or you could, like, you know, put a link to the YouTube in there. But I can definitely bring it up with the team and see if that's something that we can chat about, because I know they're not embedded, it's just kind of an attachment. And then Dale had a question here about offline service. Yeah, so because it is like a progressive web app, it doesn't have that offline functionality. We do have like some of that functionality in Worker ID, like being able to access the certificates or anything like that. But yeah, when it comes to like remote access to all the other stuff, is there something in particular you guys would be looking for? Is it like policies or something like that? Because policies can also be downloaded from the worker side. Forms, yeah, forms is a tough one. Inspections too. I can definitely understand like inspections. I'll bring it forward to the team and talk to them, and then we can connect after the webinar too and discuss that further. Thank you. Any other questions? Hey Corey, you should be able to upload online courses in MP4 format as well, or if you do have like an HTML5 file, then we can upload it for you. Maybe that's a good question. If you want to send into either the chat or to support@workhub.com, that we could kind of work with you on, because yeah. Anything else? Well, I just wanted to say thank you guys all for coming to the webinar. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any requests on other ones, definitely like send us an email or send me a message or something, and I would be happy to take any requests and see if I can accommodate those. I see you put something in there, Erin. Once a month, more in depth with each area. Okay, that's a good idea. Definitely something I can consider. I have been working on adding like a lot of videos into those help articles too, so maybe that would also help. But yeah, if you guys want to see anything else, and if you are at the safety conference in Banff, I think, say hi. I'd love to meet you guys. Otherwise, if you have any questions, you can chat with us, call us. We have some new faces on the support desk, so they'd be happy to hear from you too. And have a great day. Happy Thursday. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Jeremy, I think it's in May like 4th and 5th or something like that. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Dale. Thank you, Bruce. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thank you all for joining. It was great to chat with you today. Thank you. Thanks, Dale. I appreciate it. I'm going to check out all of your hype songs after this too. I'm just going to hang out in here. All right. Well, bye, everyone.